Car version of a book review. Let's talk about All Systems Red by Martha Wells, a 2017 novella set in a corporate-dominated space. If I was Sean the Book Maniac, I'd be talking about the hotties walking by. Um, we'd be God. This is the dangers of doing outdoor reviewing. Yes, a corporate-dominated spacefaring future where if you're going to survey planets, the corporation insists that you buy the whole package, which includes a security unit, a sec unit, which is a artificial mechanical organic being that will is there ostensibly to kind of protect you as clients, but also to report back that what you're doing to the company, to make sure you're not hiding results or are plotting some way to that something that will cost them money. They are super cheap things. They have little governor nodes in them that make sure that they'll basically fry themselves if they stray too far away from their assigned client, the contract. And this group has set down on a planet and are surveying, and we get to know this one very particular. It's a small group, and I think if you have 10 if you have 10 people in your group, it's one of these sec units. This sec unit is a very different sec unit. You find out from the very start of the book. It has hacked its governor module, basically deactivated it, and spends all its time watching soaps, basically futuristic soaps, including especially Sanctuary Moon, which it's like it enjoys its stories, and is really kind of indifferent to these human beings. It's like, I don't care. I really don't care about them. I just sort of half-assedly do my job. They're a scientist bunch. They're not as annoying as some I've had. They're definitely not as cruel. He's this sec unit Murderbot. We'll just call it Murderbot because that's what it calls itself. Has been with ones where they're just they're interscene fight. They've been fighting with each other, or that for their jollies they would get two sec units and have them battle it out against each other because they can. They're very disposable, and they're also fairly easy to repair. At least the organic bits, they just shove them into they have cubicles where they basically are regeneration pods where you do find out in the course of the story a good hunk of that organic matter can get scooped out and then just get regrown, replaced, and I'm assuming the mechanical parts as well. And never really get a clear notion of exactly how much is mechanical and how much is organic. As you go along, you find out there's a lot more organic. Like this sec unit, it likes to keep its helmet on and opaque because it doesn't want to have eye contact with humans. It's very kind of uncomfortable. It doesn't know its kind of social stuff. It much prefers its fictional human beings in its soap operas to the actual human beings in the stories. Which I think is part of why this Murderbot has become such a beloved character in the science fiction world, and spawning several more novellas after this one. But things do not go well, as you might say. There is drama. There's drama in this particular story, where suddenly things start malfunctioning. And it turns out there's another group that's across the continent, and it turns out that our maps are showing big gaps in it. Like we don't have there's gaps in the map. Some of our equipment seems to be either malfunctioning or at the very start of the book, suddenly a huge creature explodes out of the earth. This wasn't in the briefing material that they were given about this planet. Like they left out that there were these giant creatures that might eat you. That they did not know about, and it's like, what the hell is this company negligence? Is this company avarice? They don't know what the hell's going on. Murderbot saves the two people that it is with, drags them back, actually comforts it, unopakes its helmet to kind of talk the one who's in shock out of the crater that they're in, sort of revealing itself in a way that it doesn't like. It wants these clients to just think of it as a robot, as a non-human. But when it unopaques this thing, you reveals it's got what it describes as a generic human face, and you're like, oh, this creature that has been constructed by the corporation as cheap as possible actually seems to be very, very much a human, a being, a living, conscious being, that it has been able to deactivate the governor module that probably made it much more of an automaton before that. So there's that mystery that we go throughout this novel, novella, kind of like discovering what's happening. Is the company trying to kill them? Is there something else? They don't know. It's the mystery at the beginning of the book. But it's also a story of learning about the Murderbot, learning why it hacked its governor module. Other than the obvious reasons of maybe you don't want something commanding you inside your head. But also just sort of exploring this creature that doesn't have sexual genitalia. It's not a he or a she. Even though it's funny, as I read the book, I wanted to assign it as a she, because of the protective qualities of it, which is it's interesting because I both for this book I both read it as a ebook and I listened to it as an audiobook. And even though that the audiobook was narrated by a guy, kind of so-ish, it's still very much kind of I wanted to assign like a female gender to this. Maybe it's because it's a female author. But it's like, no, this is not a male or female. This is neither, which I guess the proper pronoun, I guess, is going to be it or they. Maybe I should be saying they versus it. I say it because at the beginning you're thinking, oh, it's a robot. But as you begin to realize that they are a person, I should actually be using the pronoun they, or I should be asking Murderbot itself which pronoun they or it would prefer, because it doesn't really consider itself. It doesn't consider itself a human, so maybe you wouldn't use the pronoun they with it. But as it goes along, I mean, and it's kind of one of those another interesting exploration of those themes of the idea of someone being non-typical, both in gender, doesn't really have, it's probably asexual, and also and just like its thought process. Because at the beginning of this thing I thought, oh, is this sort of a takeoff on sort of something of like autism? Is this yet another like, oh, we're going to kind of make a magical autistic creature? But it's like, no, Murderbot isn't autistic, in my limited understanding of what autistic is, which is a whole spectrum. So I shouldn't even say that one way or the other, but it just has a different way of thinking, so it's neuro, it's not, it's neuro non-typical. Which is it's just kind of it's interesting. There is also just the thing of like it's owned by the company. There's very much a thing of this is it's slavery. So there's that kind of angle to it, and it's fallen in with these scientists who are very kind and seem to be definitely more open-minded than the company, who just considers this to be a object that they own and that they can dispose of, that they can repair as they see fit, and there's absolutely no you have it the units, whether they're sex bots or anything like that, have any volition in this world. There are sex bots in this world, which is probably seems like a deeply gross thing in this imagining. But it's fallen in with like what are quite liberal-minded people. But the book, to its credit, actually kind of shows it also points out the limits of that liberal mindedness and like how that can be condescending as well, which I really enjoyed as a thing of kind of the ending for the ending of this book. It was it stuck the landing. I was worried of this being a novella that it wasn't going to be a complete story. This is a complete story about Murderbot. I should also mention in all of this that Murderbot is really funny. Has got what you can only say is like a very dry, cool wit to it, and they are just you know, it likes its stories. It's like, you guys are just like, I don't care kind of that thing. And a part of this is you understand of like, I can understand that as like when I was a very super apathetic teenager of like, I don't care, and I just gonna bury myself in my stories. I kind of really sympathize with, I could really kind of gel to Murderbot and just like, I don't care about all this. I'm just gonna go back to my stories and ignore you guys. But it's also really smart, really thinks about stuff. It's like it, and it says like, you know, the company hasn't given it any education. A lot of its education has come from the stories, from the, and you know, when we get into this kind of a thriller mystery thing, it uses the stories to kind of figure out what to do next, how to react. And must have been watching some high quality thriller stuff, because it has the smarts, and it has some sort of stuff there to be able to kind of to be able to cope in a way, while at the same time not really having a lot of the emotional kind of depth to be able to cope with interacting with these humans who are actually, for the most part, actually pretty good at you know, are decent with it. It's interesting that there's one augmented human being of the lot, and it's the one that it gets along least with. Murderbot gets along least with, but I wonder if that's just because they're two characters who both don't have great social skills that are then compensated by the social skills and the kindness of the people around them, especially Dr. Mensa, who this is definitely a crew of, I think it's sort of like, you get the sense of it's people from from India and stuff, like India or surrounding areas. It's like, this is very casually just one of these, it's the future, and it's not all white future, you know, it's like that is something that I also enjoy about this book, is like, we're gonna imagine the future, and it doesn't have to be all lily white future, which gives it a kind of a sense of reality. Like, you know what, maybe the European, North American, that sort of the white dominated version of that has faded, and there's much more of a melting pot, and also other cultures have come up. So yeah, those are my thoughts on on All Systems Red, part of the Murderbot Diaries. I'm gonna probably go on and listen. I think I have to listen to the next ones, because the audiobooks are actually available, but the ebooks aren't. I will read further on with the Murderbot Diaries, because it's constructed a world and a central character that I'm just really interested in, and want to learn more about. And it definitely opened up some of the things. The scientists aren't a part of the kind of the corporate structure. They are on a freehold planet, and indeed Dr. Mensa, their leader, is also the leader of kind of the political collective within it. And it's a political collective where they have marriages which aren't you know, a male female, but are also just single marriages. They're actually, they remind me of Heinlein, of kind of like group marriages, where you get like, you know, you have multiple partners and multiple children getting raised through amongst the partners and stuff like that. So it sounds like that might be fun. That might be if that is a part of the world that it gets explored. We'll see. We'll see if where Murderbot ends up in the next books, whether they do circle back around to Dr. Mensa, or if she's or they are going off into their own adventures. But I'll definitely follow them. All right, that's a long chat on a little fun novella. which was fun. It was a mystery, fun mystery thing with this kind of unique central character who's kind of the muscle and also kind of a detective in the thing. Definitely the smartest being in the room other than maybe Dr. Mensa. So yeah, fun stuff. All right, more videos later.